You're after me, then Dennis.
That's so quiet, though. That's so funny.
You're frightened them.
Like the weather. Or like the day.
All right. Thank you all. We're going to get started again with the open mic. I just want to thank Em again. It's really an honor to read from that book, and I just felt I don't even know. It was almost a kind of reverent, I think, for me, that in the sense that you know, we've all had loss in our lives of some sort at some time, and to be able to capture some of that, whether you're writing it in a humorous way or you're trying to tell sort of what you know, what has transpired for you in the process, or you're writing explicitly about the loss, you're capturing that in a poem, which I know is very, very difficult to do. It's hard to write those poems, but then to be asked to join you in reading them, you want to do justice to the work that was done by that writer and her personal experience. So it was really an honor to do that, and I do appreciate it very much. Thank you. Okay, we're going to get back into the open mic with Angeline. You again? Come on.
Okay, so as usual, I'll have one poem of my own and one from someone else. And my poem this time is a different style than from what I normally write, so bear with me if it's awful. And just a little bit of background. I'm a tutor for the Vancouver School District, so these are actual experiences that I've had. Some of them aren't worded as I would normally word them, though, so I know that if I'm correcting a person, we want to go towards the positive instead of the negative, so instead of saying, don't lean back in your chair, I would say, please sit up in your chair. So don't be mad at me for saying things that are negative in the poem. Okay. So I decided to title it Patience, because a lot of them are middle schoolers and you need patience. So, is everyone ready to start?
Yeah.
Maybe you two should sit apart. Stop hitting each other, I said. That's enough. Be more specific than thing and stuff. Ain't is not a word. That's not how you spell no. Are you trying to waste time, or do you really have to go? Jack is not a way to say take or steal. Ask, are you serious? Not, are you for real? Don't throw the mark. Now go pick it up. Say, be quiet, please, instead of shut up. Be respectful to the presenter. That means be nice. Yes, you get a warning. I've already told you twice. You're supposed to have 2 pencils and pens. You can't always count on borrowing your friends. Why are you playing games? I can see your screen. My grading is fair. I'm not just being mean. If you put in the effort, you would earn a better score. I know you can do it. This is better than before. Thank you for all doing your part. Everyone is finally ready to start. Okay, and so this poem is a soliloquy from Hamlet by William Shakespeare, who has his birthday in April. So, well, he's dead, we know that. But it's still the date when he was born. Okay, so it's the first soliloquy Hamlet has. Oh, that was too solid flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew. Or that the everlasting had not fixed his cannon against self-slaughter. Oh God, how weary, stale, flat, and unprofitable seem to me all the uses of this world. Fie on't, fie, 'Tis an unweeded garden that grows to seed. Things rank and gross in nature possess it merely. That it should come to this, but 2 months dead, and I not so much, not 2. So excellent a king that was to this, Hyperion to satyr, so loving to my mother that he might not beteem the winds of heaven visit her face too roughly. Heaven and earth, must I remember? Why, she would hang on him, as if increase of appetite had grown by what it fed on. And yet, within a month, let me not think on't. Frailty, thy name is woman. A little month, or ere those shoes were old with which she followed my poor father's body. Like Niobe, all tears. Why, she, even she, oh God, a beast that wants discourse of reason would have mourned longer. Married with my uncle, my father's brother, but no more like my father than I to Hercules. Within a month, ere yet the salt of most unrighteous tears had left the flushing in her galled eyes, she married. Oh, most wicked speed to post with such dexterity to incestuous sheets. It is not, nor it cannot come to good. But break my heart, for I must hold my tongue.
We are going to hear from Rob Gorley next. Rob, where are you? There he is.
I'm back here.
Come over there.
And I'm going to read from this marvelous anthology, Ghost Town Poetry, Volume 2. A lot of you are in it. Have you sold out? Are there still copies available? Probably.
You have some here?
1 or 2 left. Get them while they're there.
There is one left at the
One
moment.
left here. Yep.
And I am not fluent in Italian. I think the genesis of this for me was that I wasn't satisfied with the translations that I was seeing. So I called it Taking Solace in Dante. Okay. Try my Italian here. 4 lines concerning Hecuba in Thrace. Hecuba was the wife of Priam, the king of Troy, and towards the end, he sent her and her youngest son to his brother in Thrace, but the brother probably killed the youngest son for his own reasons. Ed del suo Polidoro in sulla riva del mar, si fu la dolorosa accorta, forsennata l'altro si compacane. Tanto il dolor la fe lamenta torta. Remind me of the Japanese in harm's way, Sendai, earthquake, tsunami, subsequent Fukushima, nuclear catastrophe, and now armored assault on Syrian city neighborhoods by Syrian army. In my translation, finding her last son's lifeless shape washed up on shore, she collapsed with sorrow on that sandy spot, and like an abandoned sheepdog whimpered there all night. His murder had left her so broken and distraught. Okay, April, and this is one I haven't read in a long time. And this one for me, I call it 3 Moments April. I took parts of 3 poems, put them together, and it kind of mirrors something that's happened in the American poetry scene anyways, going from like rhyming quatrains into free verse and into, I discovered this little technique in Robert Creeley. Instead of worrying about syllables and certainly not rhyme, I noticed that a number of his poems in the book Echoes are just like he would take 6 words per line, and all lines in a given poem would have 6 words. And I think I used, okay, he maybe did 7 or 5 or something, because I used 6. 3 Moments April. Reveled in the flowering daffodils, vibrant yellow, draining in the pelting onslaughts of raindrops to ghostly pale white, like wounded soldiers who won't quit the fight. I'm pondering how to conjugate spring. Bands of riverbank cottonwoods, tinged golden green in sunlight, foliating at the bud tips where they left off last fall, hinting of cool swims and lazy basking. Saucy blue jays hopping around from branch to branch beckon me. Here we go with the 6 words per line. Quince petals fading on sandy path, along lilac hedge, crown royal clustered, after the wind, after the rain. Towhee rustles quickly out of sight, bright AM vector of familiar latitude. Gate hardware creaks, dooryard cat appears, sheds hair rubbing flank by shin. Sheds hair rubbing flank by shin. Breeze picks up, clouds over ridge, needles quiver, ponderosa boughs nod, bob, perfect cones scattered on tilled loam. Probably should have practiced that. Okay, real quick. Last thing I've written here, also a spring poem. A female deer carrying you-know-what alive between and below milk chocolate hindquarters is here at the edge of the clearing, munching fresh green blackberry growth of early spring. Her face opens and closes. Her teeth pull away, leafy mouthfuls she forages, and somehow she avoids stabbing her wet black nose. Doves, 2 couples, sudden tucked back wings, camouflaged on silver alder limbs. That's all I have. Thanks.
We're gonna see you next month?
I hope so.
Okay,
Second Thursday.
all right,
Every month.
okay. There you are, Jim Martin. Jim, come on.
I have 2 not really happy ones. Dream Shadow starts with a quote. Between the idea and the object, the motion and the act, falls the shadow. T.S. Eliot. Gentle the breeze, curtain ends, curtsy and flirt, leaf shadows walk the walls like dreams. Home, family, a place to forge your lives, dreams. They stir our minds, our souls. Set us on our journeys, roads, first dim, brighten with vision. It came from a distance. First, low sound, distant thunder, faint rumblings beyond the horizon. Then, light subdued, broad world closens, winds quicken, shadow crosses the land. Between the dream and its object fell the shadow, the darkness that lay just beyond memory. that brought the breezes, twisted them, dilated their gentle dance, compelled the storms that raged just beneath the surface. Then with a roar, darkness, bone-shaking winds, storm visits the land, ripping, tearing, howling, like the storm gods of old, destroyed all in their path, left no breathing soul behind. Fell to the shadow, between dream and home, family, life, hope, and reality. These are poems I've been writing for a while, off and on, about a brother of mine who had a difficult birth. And, skull was kind of caved in by the doctor, and has always had a pretty rough life. A breath apart, paths that cross, youth home from the army, raising a family, moved to the farm. Wife in the tab, dealing and doing, fragile family disintegrating, will disappear like so much dust. Took her into your family, fractured contraction, pieces falling off, scattering along the way. She not yet in high school, just taller than your oldest daughter. Did she bring a quiet voice, thoughtful decisions, escape vehicle, promise of sanctuary? Gravel road and smooth highway force us to think. Did you watch your family dissolve from where you thrashed about in the eye of the storm? The stuff shaking your own internal life? Did you seize your chance? Charm the young girl with tales of your road? Convinced her of the majesty of its pulsating world, boxcars, flat cars, havens under bridges, oblivion weeks on end. Did she ever comment on the lunacy of your life? A heart that could desert 5 kids while charming another willing child. Could you see it coming? One day she's gone, grew up, dreamed a life and chased it. School, job, children, career, the stuff you dreamed of before you shot up. Solid, no storms, her family intact. Your paths continue their own trajectories, met and diverged. How this dichotomy? You both breathe, one alive, one dead. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. We're going to hear from Nathan Tompkins next. Come on up, Nathan.
First, I want to say Mel's kind enough to carry a couple of my chapbooks, Junk Mail of the Heart and The Dog Stops Here. They're $5 a piece. Also, if you're looking for a photographer, I got lots of time right now, so this first poem was written from a prompt. I was, back in February, I was lucky enough to be asked to be part of this new series called Open Door and Jammin'. Basically what they do is they book a few poets, have them read, and then they give them a prompt. And you have to write the prompt right there and then read it on stage. No editing or anything. And this came from the prompt. It's called The Romantic Lies. The prompt was, biggest lie you ever told. Now, since I'm not much of a liar, it took a long time for me to figure it out. But then I remembered. I told her I loved her. Of course, that was bullshit. I just wanted my dick massaged by her tongue, her legs spread open to taste her erect nipples clutched between my chapped lips. I wanted a kneeling invitation, calligraphed gold letters written on a pearl necklace card. To savor her moisture, finger sex on the beach, scented oil between her thighs, or her plump ass cheeks before I thrust my head inside. Yes, I told her I loved her. It was an utter, complete, gray alpha stamped on a gray egg carton North Idaho cow shit factory product. But then I think she knew. And maybe even felt the same. No bitter red eyes hummed from her throat when she rang that night. Said it was over, and no tears answered when I said okay. And hung the phone back up on the wall. And walked away. This is actually a composite of, I've been going to open mics and participating off and on for the last 20 years. So this is basically just a composite of them. It's called Mio Inferno Poetico, My Poetic Hell. Kind of loosely based on Dante. Metal folding chairs lying in formation before the black microphone stand or semi-hidden between stuffed bookcases that tell the stories of Virgil and Dante. I sit in one, out of the way, towards the back. Rust iron chain shackles form around my naked ankles. Overweight handcuffs clasp my wrists. I am stuck here, and I realize my misery, and I hear his name from the list. See him rise from the podium. Hand clutches his iPhone as he searches for the right words, the right phrases to shout across the room to declare his poetic opus to us lowly peons, as he lashes us with pseudo-intellectual whips, enslaves us with shackles, the chains of his ego. As he goes on, I think that this time he is finished, but he is not. It's another line, another second, another minute, another day, another week, another year. 6 decades, 6 centuries, 6 millennia, the number of the beast born from the ocean's thighs. And I wish I could reach up, gash my eyeballs from their sockets, and shove them in my ear canals in an attempt to finally shut out this noise. But I can't. And I wish I could storm this podium, cut the wires from the mic, jam it down his writhing throat. But I can't. And I wish I could rise from the sheet metal chair, bash it over my thick skull until I'm unconscious. But I can't. No. I'm stuck here, listening to his voice. Each paragraph, each sentence, each line, each word, each syllable is a torment, an agony thrust upon my poor withered brain for all my sins. And I look to the glass and aluminum gates through which I entered, abandoning all hope. And I see her, Beatrice, with her black eyes, framed red with the tears as they slide down her smooth Italian cheeks, her lips whisper to me, mouth to me the words, "You're fucked." Woo! This is called happiness. Happiness is a green and white parcel with an Australian customs form glued to the outside, and you open it and find photos and letters written in a child's hand, handmade cards full of paint, markers, fairy stickers, and red hearts, glitter designs pasted on the outside, and inside is a note that thanks you for the books you sent, and a note that says, "I love you, Daddy." It is to hear your daughter laugh as you make funny faces through the laptop camera lens over the virtual Wi-Fi lines of Skype. It can be a bottle of Jameson as amber liquid joy burns down your throat as you suck it in, spread its warmth into your thirsty stomach. It can be a blonde stranger who walks up to you while you're pissed drunk at 3 in the morning on the corner of 2nd and Ash, her braless nipples pushed against her white t-shirt, the tight blue jeans molded to the dimples of her ass as she gives you a deep kiss before disappearing into a milling crowd. Happiness can be a lover's mouth against your ear. Lips surround your lobe, teeth click against the silver hoops as you sigh, gasp when her palm surrounds you. It can be a woman as she shivers beneath the slow caress of the tip of your tongue. It can be bearing yourself within her body, on top, behind, in her mouth, as she controls the rhythm of your movement, controls the moment the gates open. It could be masturbation, an attempt to evade for a few moments that loneliness as your hand slides up and down the mushroom shaft as you splatter your release into the tissue. It could be looking in your fat face in the steam-layered bathroom mirror and not breaking knuckles upon your reflection. Or happiness can simply be the fact that you lived another day without sliding a knife across your skin, painting more scars against your arm, or splitting open veins to spill your life into the boiled water of a bathtub, or swallowing more pills than you need to drift off into the forever sleep, or lashing a manila line to the oak out back and feel its coarse fibers scratch at your neck as you dance from the branches, or putting the oil muzzle of a 45 between your clenched jaws and jamming a bullet into your goddamn brain. Sometimes happiness can just be survival.
Thank you, Nathan. Next, we are going to hear from the person who, I'm covering up the name, who has written this delightful book. It's absolutely delightful, charming, adorable, everything you ever want to know. So if you are in the market to make yourself feel good, or to make a little person in the world feel really good, you will need to come on April 19th at
3 p.m.
At 3 p.m. here for the book launch of The Sock Thief by April Bullard. Your turn.
Yay, I didn't have to do the shameless plug. Spring hit the island so fiercely. It amazes me that in 1 month the trees can go from absolute knobby skeletons to full green and you just can't see through anymore. But back before it had totally come and it was still that pre-spring. True story. It's called Moonlight Monsters. One chilly spring evening, while closing up my houseboat for the night, I heard weird, thunderous barking sounds outside. It wasn't honking geese, warbling sandhill cranes, or the squawks of disturbed blue herons on the docks. It wasn't coyote howls answered by dogs in the marina, or the train whistles from Philida. This was different. This was something larger, something louder, something very close. Primal fear and a sense of self-preservation overwhelmed me. I knew I would never get to sleep until I knew what this sound was. I turned off all the lights and went out on my front deck. The moon cast a dim blue pall over the sleeping channel. Eerie circles of faded yellow from marina lights glimmered like candles on the docks. The hint of sweet budding cottonwoods traveled in the cold breeze that finger-stroked my hair like a ghostly grandmother caressing a beloved sleeping child. A constant chorus of 100,000 frogs served as background music to this midnight scene. Spots of light twinkled here and there in the woods. It took a minute to realize that they were not eyes. They were mooring lights from ships anchored in the river that danced between the trees as my houseboat shifted on the rushing river current. Ark, ark, ark! Cracked through the crisp night air. Goosebumps ran up my arms, joined at my neck, and then slithered down my spine. Then a slower, lower voice answered, "Ork, ork, ork." They were close. Sea lions, directly ahead of me, due west. By the sound of their voices, 2 full-grown sea lions. Ark and Ork, each easily 5 times heavier than me, wrestled on the far beach, past the thin strip of trees, directly across the narrow channel. Their urgent cries trumpeted through the knobby skeletal forest. Their roars continued across the channel, echoing off my own houseboat and all the empty hulls in the marina. Their barks also bounced back from the anchored freighters on the swollen river, making the two sound like four or more. The sea lions began a duet, drowning out the frogs. Their voices bellowed with impassioned commands and victorious exultations, so intense I trembled with dread and giggled from their exposed intimacy, all at the same time. I could only imagine the ferocious hulking masses writhing in the moonlight. The hellish howling continued through to the climax of their monstrous melody. Silence slammed the night like a shockwave. After a full minute that seemed to stretch into dark infinity, the frogs started up again. Wintry wind wandered up the channel, chilling me through and through. A lonely owl hooted from the woods. Ork, ork, cooed quietly from the beach. A gentle ork replied. Good night, my moonlight lovers. I yawned and went to bed.
Could listen to you do that all night.
I'd be very happy. I love those sounds, you know, you're just out there and then all of a sudden you hear something and you think, what is that? Yeah. And then you have to like get your head around what that sound is. I love that. I can listen to it. I love it. That's great. We're next going to hear from Morgan Hutchinson. Come on up.
I probably won't make any kind of sound like that.
Okay.
But
I won't force you to.
thank you.
Okay.
So my friend and I recently have been sending each other one word, inspirational, just sending them randomly through text or Facebook or whatever. And I received a word recently. The word was clandestine. And so I was sitting at, this poem is called 9 to 5, and I was sitting at my 9 to 5 job, writing poetry. Don't tell anybody that I was writing poetry during my corporate America job. But anyway, so it's called 9 to 5. My life from 9 to 5 is clandestine. I lurk clicking on sticky keys, a molasses masterpiece of clocking the watch and scrolling through digital dives. My 9 to 5 life is clandestine. I crawl, screen fastened to the pupils. A clean distraction of stalking the clock and shallowing through lackluster dailies. But my hands divulge. They tap black and white lit squares in a fixed position of sticking the clicks and progressing consequential tremors. And my second poem I wrote last night, and it's about a ritual that happens before that 9 to 5. And it's called And Daily and Often. I have a window in my bathroom, in the room with the shower steaming. And daily I peek my nose to the screen of that small window open to the backyard and the whole world. And daily there's a certain clarity out there and within, among the mist in the trees and spring sunrise. Sitting on the sill to the left, there are 2 rubber ducks, one red, one pink. And often they look as though they're kissing, 2 plastic toys touching. And often I remember the day I bought them, but not the reason. Lying at my feet next to the purple shag bath mat, a pile of dirty clothes. And daily I kick them to the side, hoping they pick themselves up. And daily I tell myself that this afternoon I won't forget to throw them in the washer. And often I'd like to stand there in that spot for 5 more minutes. And often I'd like to stand there in that spot, feeling the water vaporize. And forever I'd be content to stand there in my towel with my rounded, freckled nose nearly touching the screen of that small window open to the backyard and the whole world, and just fucking breathe.